Hi guys, it's me, Dr. Ayers. I wanted to do a quick, just like idea generation demo for you because sometimes people ask me like, how do you come up with things, and like how do you like generate musical ideas? And it's really based on a lot of like improvisation. And so I wanted to like do a thing where I get sort of like a random prompt and then I'm gonna improvise on it. So I've got this online haiku generator, which generates spurious poetry, and I'm gonna fill it in with some stuff that sounds good, and then we'll see what kind of poem it pops out, and then no matter what happens, we're gonna find some sort of musical idea out of it, and maybe see if there's some different ways that we can make it interesting. So, here we go. A time of year, time of day, or setting. We're just going to do the random suggestions. Oh, I love a forest. Sure, that's the first thing. An adjective to describe that time or place. Okay, so what kind of forest? Dry? No. Dark? Sure, dark forest. That always works. Two singular nouns that you would not usually expect to find in the same sentence. Okay, chimpanzee. No, I don't feel like a chimpanzee. A bee. Oh, bees are nice. I just got over my fear of stingers. Spouse. No. Dolphin, not in a forest. Cheetah, no. Kitten, zebra, rat. Come on, give me something. Lake. I like a lake. Yeah. Another adjective. Blue. Perfect. A verb. Stings. Ugh. We've already got a bee, so that's perfect. It's like it knew. All right, so now we're going to pop this in, and we're going to say, write me a poem. We're going to see what it spits out. And no matter what, I'm going to come up with something out of it, so. Please wait a moment. Okay. All right. It goes, depressing woodland, then a common blue bee stings at the perfect lake. Other than the word depressing, which just does not work for me in a haiku, I love the idea of a common blue bee stings at a perfect lake. To me, like, that line says something like, where would bees be common? It reminds me of like a fantasy world or something like that. So to me, it's making me picture something that has like, all sorts of like fantastical creatures, fairies, maybe wood nymphs. Yeah. So, okay, let's take that as like the seed of our idea and kind of see what happens. Okay. So there's a couple of ways that I could go about this. I could either just come up with like a feeling maybe, and I love a seventh chord, right? And that kind of has like a dreamy quality. I've got like this F major seventh that goes into a D. This kind of chromatic median seventh thing. It's very kind of impressionistic. I like that. So maybe we'll remember that. Maybe we'll come back to that. And then one of the things that you can't be afraid to do is change something if you don't like it. So like music and composing to me, it's like fishing and then sculpture, right? So first we've fished for the idea, we've reeled something in, and sometimes you get a boot, and sometimes you get a ancient Greek statue and it's perfect on its own. You don't have to do anything to it. This is somewhere in between, right, as a text. So, and because it was generated by a computer, I'm not gonna feel bad about changing it. So, like, let's just say, well, why not? Let's go to a thesaurus. Can we get a better word than depressing? But in order for it to be a haiku, still, it has to be 3 syllables. Okay? So I love dreary and gloomy, but they're only 2 syllables, so that won't work. Dispiriting. No, that's 5. That won't work. No, that's 4. I can count. Daunting, bleak, saddening. A saddening woodland. Maybe. That's interesting because it, like, yeah, let's say that's it. Let's say it's a saddening woodland. That's what we're going to change depressing, because then it has like an idea of like a woodland that is progressively getting sadder. Why are the woods getting sad? And then a common blue bee stings at a perfect lake. I think that's really cool. To me, it conjures this whole kind of universe, and I want to know, like, what's happening there. So we had this gesture. And then this is the part where once I kind of have an idea, I might start to layer something in with my voice, because most of the stuff that I improvise on is actually vocal. Saddening woodland, sad. There we go, we found it. Okay. Saddening woodland. And what's interesting is that we're going to end on that seventh. Saddening woodland, saddening woodland. And there's this, right, when we go from this chord to this chord, there's the F stays the same, but that seventh that was in the previous chord, if it holds over, then it rubs up against on the new chord. So we go from this to this, and it's really kind of discordant because we have two major sevenths in there now, right? We've got the C sharp D and F to F sharp. No. I want to pick, but I do want to change there. For the third line, I want the chord to change, right? So this chromatic thing, let's just experiment and see what chords might fit there. And I'd like it to be something that sounds like lifting or positive, because this is the shift, right? The saddening woodland. Then there's always a volta in a poem. The volta is the turning point where the tone shifts, right? And this is it. Then a common blue bee stings at the perfect lake. So maybe we've got this. This is the saddening woodland, and I want to find something that indicates a shift towards something maybe more positive or hopeful or magical, right? We could do just like a simple B major chord. That would work. That functions. Or let's try some other things. E major, maybe. That C minor, C, well, maybe. Initially my thought is like, no, C minor doesn't work because it sounds sad, but like maybe we can use that word pivoting, right? So keep the voicing close, and you can do anything. Da, da. Yeah. Da, da. Yes! Oh, okay. So, yeah, I like this, actually. It's gonna go... B major, B, stings. So I think we're going to E minor, blue, B, stings. No, not E flat minor. Blue. No. Blue stings. It is B major. That's what it should be. Yeah. So just. So we have to go. We'll have to roll back and remember that. So basically, we have this major seventh, and then my dogs are barking. Let's see if we can get this. And then to the D7, and then I don't remember what the second chord was. I could roll it back. But then it goes... So we actually end back on the chord that we started in, like we were driving there the whole time, but we take out the seventh, or maybe we leave it back in. Who knows? This is just a rough sketch. This would be, like, if I could get this far on something and then get it all written down and put into finale, which is a whole separate process, I would be really happy with this as a first draft, assuming it was a text that I really liked. I would definitely go back and play with... the textures and stuff, like... Maybe that's saddening woodland. Saddening woodland. I don't know, it's just like a short little thing, but, I don't know, it's got potential. And for something that we generated off the internet and we've done in 15 minutes, it's not bad. Maybe it could be something. So that's kind of a demo of my process, and you can see, like, I definitely have like a harmonic vocabulary and a way of composing that just like flows, that like works for me, and it's my particular like harmonic language. This chord progression and the way that I did this sounds like a lot of stuff that I've written, but that's okay because it's my ideas, they're my voice, and if they all sound kind of similar, like, well, that kind of makes sense, and that's kind of the point, right? Because I have an artistic perspective, ideally, and my way of setting this text would probably be very different than somebody else's, and that's a good thing because then we have different art. But like I said, like sometimes like it's fishing and then sculpture, right? So what we've done at this point is we've reeled in this idea, and then we've taken it's almost like a block of marble, right? And I've started to like chisel away at what the overall picture might look like, and it's starting to I'm guided by intuition, I'm guided by my own like musical training styles, things that I've listened to, things that I've been taught, but at this point, like, I'm not doing it based on like these are the rules that I need to follow. I'm just going like, this sounds right to me. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that works. As I carve away at it, different things start to reveal themselves, right? So after I'm like, oh yeah, I like this chord and I like this chord structure, that's sort of like, I've got like this really blocky, like pixelated outline of that perfect statue that I described earlier, right? And where we're at now, based on like what I've got, is sort of that pixelated structure. What I have to do now is like go back in and chip away at the rough edges, any place that I don't like, anything that doesn't sound like I want it to, and make it work, make it sound correct. I'm probably not going to take the time to do that with this because this poem really means nothing to me, right? If I was just like writing music because I just have to generate something, I just need to write something, like this is a really good exercise. But in order for it to be something that I really want to devote the time, because you saw it took, we really hurried through this, and we didn't really look at all of our different musical choices. Anywhere along the way, we could have taken a different path and come up with something completely different. And we just kind of went with the first thing that came up, and that's fine. I like that. You can write a lot of music really, really fast that way. And that's sort of the beautiful thing, is like, if it sounds right to you, then like you really kind of can't go wrong, because if it works to you, then chances are it's going to work to somebody else. But like, if I'm going to devote the time to an idea, I want to make sure that it's a text that's really, really special. So, like, if I pull up just like my Stickies app on my computer here, you can see like every single one of these is a poem idea, a text, or something that I found, and they're like color-coded. This is actually a system that I have not updated in like 2 or 3 years. I now, instead of using Stickies, I use a spreadsheet on Google Docs, and I need to go in and import this. But if you're going to be a composer who writes with text, or really of any kind, like, you have to have a place to like store your ideas. So I keep this here, and I could pull any one of these texts that I've found. Like, I've got this poem that a friend wrote. I have this old poem from like the early 20th century. Anything that I find, it just goes right in there. Anyway, this is kind of a long video. Didn't mean to talk for 20 whole minutes, but it's here, and maybe someone will enjoy it. That's it. Like and subscribe. That, I don't know if that's a thing still.